Wow. Do they normally call you Miss England? Look forward, look forward. Now, relax. You are okay now. We are online.
Oh, wow.
And you can, yeah, you can even, just relax. We are fine now, yeah. And you can put your head, yeah. Sorry for all the inconveniences. Yeah, it's interesting to know. You look so great, especially with your hairstyle. It's just fabulous. That's the impression anybody will have the first time they see you.
Thank you also.
That's Miss England right there. Okay. Here we are. And we want to welcome everybody. Let's welcome people from Facebook, from YouTube. Now today we're actually broadcasting from YouTube. That's where we have all the challenges, because we've not been broadcasting directly from YouTube for some time now. So this is the first time we're coming back to YouTube to broadcast. And so I have to apologize to our audience that we're coming late, but it's a new development and it's a good one, because then people could watch us directly from Facebook and from YouTube as well. So that's where the complexity was. But so you are the first one to actually start this new season with us, this new move with us. Okay, Elizabeth, Aina, why did you take the challenge?
Hello, DSA.
Yes, blessings. Let me first of all greet people who are watching us online. I see some people are coming to see us, to join with us already on YouTube, but nobody is identifying himself yet or herself yet on YouTube. So if you are there on YouTube, please identify yourself. We've got to tell people that, I think, can somebody tell Kate, so that Kate tells people that we are not on Embassy of God YouTube, but we are on YouTube of my personal YouTube now, which is Sunday Adelaja Official, so that people who are on YouTube could come to Sunday Adelaja Official and not go to Sunday. Yeah, okay, we have Sheev from London. Okay, he's the first one to write me on YouTube. So let's see who is going to be bold enough to write me on YouTube again. On Facebook, we have Samuel Adebayo. Let me see. Yep. We have Ahema Mensa, Naomi Soko, Frank D, Mary Odia, Lagat Osaro. Okay, we have another person showing up on YouTube, Sarah Adai, Obadare on Facebook. Oh, Sally Adai as well on Facebook. Chris Al is here, Patrick Garrison, Lanre Ijeoma. We have Chris Eze here, Ride Benro on YouTube. Then we have Chris Al, we have Sandra. I have so many. Now many people are coming in. I think we should just go on and start the program. Okay, here we go. So what we are going to do is I'm going to introduce you to our guest today, who is Elizabeth Aina. Elizabeth.
Yes, Pastor.
Yeah, tell me, why did you take on this topic? This is a very serious topic. How pastor brainwash you, how pastors brainwash you.
Absolutely, Pastor Sunday.
Did you listen to that series?
I did, Pastor Sunday. I did. I listened. I was there in December when you were teaching that series.
Are you sure that is enough, or you listen again, or you remember?
Listened, just to prep myself as well, just to remind. I remember when I was listening, I was taking down a lot of notes. At the time when you taught the series, I was like, taking down the notes, like my laptop, like shaking my head. So it was something that was long awaited anyway. So it's not just something that popped into my head recently.
Yeah.
I think it's just that the season literally calls for it now. It's like, okay, Elizabeth, might as well do it. You need to do it now. And, I decided that. And, when, I heard that DSA wanted to speak, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm doing a talk on, our pastors brainwash you. That's the one that, for me, the last time I was here, I told you my best series was the one about the women and stuff, like the, differences between men and women. And now, after that series, my second favorite would be Our Pastors Brainwash You. So I wanted to go talk on that, and I was like, an opportunity arose. And it just kind of just falls into the season. You're back talking about the deceptions in the church as well. So why not?
Now, this, Our Pastors Brainwash You, but it's a sad story. I hope you agree with me on that.
Absolutely, Pastor Sunday. It's like the worst thing ever. Like I said, it's long awaited. I wanted to talk about it since 2016. I just never really had the courage to come out. Then December 2016, 2017, at the time, had already wanted to talk about it. But Pastor Sunday, people that come out of the church, they always say it wasn't easy. Like the grace, what Pastor Wellington was talking last night. It was like the grace it took me to leave. A lot of pastors don't have it because it's not something you can just step outside of. You need to really come to understand that it's either you're standing for the truth or you're just continue you're gonna continue to be a part of the problem. So until you're able to really say, I'm out of the lies, I'm out of the deception, and I'm really standing. So I think for me, now that I'm boldly outside of it, and I'm like, okay, now I can genuinely boldly say, I want to talk about it. I'm no longer an hypocrite, and I can speak out about it boldly. So like I said, I should have talked about it last 2016 and then January 2017, because at the time I'd noticed a lot of, it was just, I think I noticed a pattern. It was a friend of mine. The guy literally was in debt by £4,000. And then every time he would go to his pastor, that, what's happening. His mom was also down, also she was diagnosed with cancer. He had a lot going on in his life at the time. And every time he would go to his pastor, he would always be, you're not faithful enough, you're not good enough, you're not serving God enough. That's why things are happening in your life. So the point that this guy lost his job and then got another job, and then the job he got, he had to tell me, as I was almost in tears, the guy told me that, Elizabeth, all of my first salary, I'm giving it to the church as a donation to God so that God can answer my prayers. And they had the F countries to take the money from him. I'm like, this guy is broke. As long as someone is poor, as in he needs help. And you're still telling him it's because he's not faithful enough, and you're still taking his first fruits. And for me, I should have spoken. This is something I should have spoken a long time ago, but I think I didn't have the guidance and the wisdom as well. Pastor, I've never heard of anything like prosperity gospel until I started listening to you. I've never heard of it, that there's such a thing as prosperity gospel. And, coming to the light of the word prosperity gospel really, really shook me up. Thinking back at what the guy was going through and what had happened and what you're talking about, being able to, I remember I was on Wikipedia, prosperity gospel, and they actually brought it up, prosperity, I think called it prosperity theology or something like that. Prosperity meant something. And I really read about it, and I was so heartbroken. And I was actually reading, I was finding out things churches like Creflo Dollar's church, they make is it Creflo Dollar or Benny Hinn's church, they make $200 million from how many congregational members in 1 year. It's not even over a period of time. It is in 1 year they make 200 million. And I was thinking, wow, if they make that much, then I was doing into Creflo Dollar. I think his own was about 20-something million dollars. I was thinking, I was looking at Nigerian pastors, Pastor Oyedepo, and I was doing my research, and I was thinking of how much millions are actually rolling into the hands of these men. And I'm thinking, in the same churches, you get people that can't even afford to feed themselves, but yet they say they want to donate to God so that God can have mercy on them. So I just felt when I started listening to you, I'm my eyes started opening. As I like to describe it, my eyes was opened. I was I went through all of your series. I remember, I think you started up on the 14th of December on that topic, and then we went on to the 23rd, and the 24th was when you started up on your pastor's a psychopath and stuff, evidences that your pastor's a psychopath. And for me, it was like, when I listened to them, I really took down a lot of notes, and it really shook me off. But like I said, recently, I've just come to the realization that, you know what, I need to talk about it because I'm still seeing the same thing. I think it was just a friend I was sharing with last week, and she was telling me something that's happening here in this UK. Like some people, like, you know, the people that in this particular church I'm about to speak to that are managing to pay their rent, people that are barely managing to pay their school fees, that are having to borrow money up and down, international students. And guess what these people are doing? These people are looking for ways to raise money to buy a car for their pastor. I'm not playing. They are looking for a way to raise money and generate money because it's their pastor's birthday. And so I think someone was like, oh, they were thinking about, oh, let us buy like a phone or something. And then somebody there was like, you know, somebody related to the pastor must be like, oh, but why don't we get a car? You know, and obviously the pastor suggested it.
Elizabeth, let me make you to be much more. Let all the people see the fullness of your glory. So move the opposite direction a little bit.
Move like this.
Yeah, just that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. And you could move your head up as well.
Okay, maybe come a bit further forward.
Yeah, but a bit more to that's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Is everything fine now?
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm trying to observe so that we'll get the best of you.
Okay, Pastor.
Yep, I think we're fine.
Okay, Pastor.
Yeah.
All right, yes. And I was just like, the person that was suggesting that they raise money and buy the pastor a car is actually someone that's related to the pastor. And I was just thinking, obviously, the pastor suggested it. I mean, come on, the person must have been like, these people are planning to buy you a present. But you know, I need car. And I'm just thinking, like, the whole mentality. And, you know, these people that, like I said, they're struggling, they have their own problems. They are now thinking of ways to raise money. And I think to myself that there are people that are struggling in that place that to pay rent. They will never do like a collab to raise money for people to pay rent. They never do a collab to raise money for somebody to pay their school fees, or they will find money for the pastor's car. They will find that money. It means going to the end of the universe. Even if they have to raise £20,000, they will find that money. I mean, for me, it's just so fake, and I just feel like enough of this fake facade. Like when it comes down to money, especially money in churches, it's so irritating the way people have become. And I'm just like, enough is enough. Man needs to talk about it. We need to be honest. But it's not just about the money alone. It's just about every other thing that is being preached in this church. Because it wasn't just about the money. It was just so many other things that you talked about. And for me, that just stood out. So what I did was I listed the topics every day that you talked about from the 14th. And then, you know, just talked about what I learned from them as well.
Yeah, I think
the whole series as well.
I think I have to tell people that we used to call the series the Brainwashing series, but I think we changed the name now, right? Is it? No, it's still the same. Brainwashing.
Same pastor. Our pastors brainwash you. And then it goes through the different topics. There's the one that says true acceptance and recognition, true prophetic declarations, and
let's start one by one. So the series is series number 22.
Yes.
And it's called Brainwashing and Psychopath series. So we are going to talk about brainwashing part today. So the first one was which one? Which one will you say is the first one?
Okay. The first one was the one from the 14th. I would say it's the first one. There was one on the 10th as well, but I'll just say 14th.
No, I don't think so. I think the first one was actually earlier.
Really, Pastor?
Yeah,
the first one you did earlier, you were talking about, you were looking into something else. That's why I didn't.
No, it started on the 7th.
Okay. I thought you were talking about a different topic then, Pastor.
No, it's called Is Your Church Brainwashing You?
That's the one. Is Your Church Brainwashing You?
Okay, that's the one you are talking about?
No, I'm talking about how your pastors brainwash you.
Okay, you want to talk about pastors?
Yes, Pastor. Our pastors, our churches. So our churches and pastors brainwash you. That's the one.
Okay, which one is the first one you want to talk about?
I want to start from the 14th.
Okay.
Which is our churches brainwash.
Our churches brainwash you through leniency
and opportunities and stuff. But I'm not going to start from that, Pastor. Okay. I'm going to start from the 23rd. I'm not going to be organized about it, except you want me to be organized.
I want you to speak from your heart, from what is really in your heart, what is really a concern to you.
What's really a concern to me?
Now, let me ask you first.
Yes, Pastor.
Did you find it strange that I even came up with this topic, how pastors, churches are brainwashing you? Because most people have never even heard of this, that pastors and churches are brainwashing them, and they didn't even think this could be a problem. So was that a little bit of a surprise? Or maybe you even thought that this doesn't concern you, that this might be happening somewhere or in some cults, but this would not have anything to do with you. Let me tell your first emotions. Yes, I want to hear your first emotions and reactions.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The thing, Pastor, was, you know when people are always like, you never know what's actually happening, or you never really feel it until it happens to you. Like I said, Pastor, it was really my friend's situation that moved me to understand that, man, these things are happening, because I saw how ignorant he was. As in, this guy couldn't go anywhere before taking permission. He has to take permission. Before he leaves the church, he must take permission before he does anything, or else his pastor will remove him. Like, the guy will be like, you'll be like, oh, come and watch movies. Like, I miss choir practice. My pastor, come on, this guy can't do anything without asking for permission. He has to take permission. I'm thinking, no, I'm in the choir, and if I don't go, I don't go. Simple. That's it. It's not convenient for me. Obviously, but there's this constant fear in his heart, I've got to do it like this. And for me, I saw the bondage. I saw that it's a massive bondage, Pastor. It's a massive bondage, and the fact that, I was reading something, it was saying about, it says discouragement of debates in the church. Like, if you constantly find that when somebody raises like an opposing idea, or someone's trying to say something that everyone doesn't agree with, if there's a conversation at the church that, someone starts and, becomes like, it's an alternative view, and there's no civil, intelligent conversation, atmosphere for it to be allowed to sort of, for it to become a topic of, discussion. And then the person immediately gets shut down with, a few simple words now, like things like, oh, I believe we're all Christians here, aren't we? Like, people say that a lot, I believe we're all Christians here. And then because of that, you just keep quiet. The problem is that there's a chance that the church is trying to create a culture of groupthink. So the thing is, people, when you're being an assistant for so long, they'll manipulate it for so long that you don't even know there's something inside. Sometimes you need to step outside of that. Because for me, it was like I stepped outside and saw it from another person's problem, someone that was close to me. I was able to then see that, wow, there's a massive problem in the church, and people are not even aware of it. Like, people are not, like, this guy has talent, and the guy cannot even go and use his talent elsewhere, because his pastor will tell him, how can you leave the church and go and be up in that church to be doing this? Like, the guy can't even step out. The guy will be like, they'll invite him, he can't go because his pastor needs to give him permission. I'm thinking, God gave you the talent, not your pastor, but you can't even use it because you're afraid of what your pastor will say. So I was tired of all of this brainwashing, Pastor, and I just thought to myself that I need to say something about this. So when I saw you talking about it, and you started talking about fear and the things that fear does to their hearts, and the way that, and I saw the old video, the Nigerian churches, what they do, how people are like, they believe so much in this, immediate miracle, and for me, it's just really sad. And I'm thinking, is this the way forward? I was reading something, and it says that the less a generation is taught, the less they will pass on to the next generation. Yeah. This is true. It says whether you're talking about academics, faith, parenting, life lesson, if a prior generation did not learn to cope with failure and tragedy and disappointment, how can they teach the next generation? They're not actually being taught anything, but everyone's fine. It's like people even know in their head that something is not right, but they are so deeply rooted into this culture, into the system, that they can't break away, because they are controlled by this mentality that if you leave this place, you are going to hell. And that's what I was going to start with anyway. But let me start with your the one that you talked about, how pastors use lies and deception to brainwash you. The thing is, what I wrote down for that one is that whatever you are afraid of, Whatever you fear in this life, anyone can easily use it to brainwash you. And that's just a matter of fact. When you're constantly afraid of hell, destruction, poverty, you're afraid that, oh, I'm never going to eat again. Like Pastor Wellington said yesterday, they will keep telling you, you will never eat again. All those things, you will always be afraid that, okay, if I leave, and they will even use examples. They will use example of the case of people that maybe they've left and they've encountered one problem or the other, and you keep looking at them like, oh, if I leave, man, something's going to happen to me, something bad, something dreadful. I don't want something bad to happen to me. So because of that, you're forced to just stay. Even when you feel like, oh, I shouldn't be answering to this kind of situation, this shouldn't be happening, you still can't say anything. You still don't have the boldness to stand up against it, because you know that once you start talking, everyone's going to just be like turning against you, like, no. That mindset, that group think again. That's what I was saying about group think, a cult, it has become a cult. And you have to conform. That's why, like, some people go to church, they can't even talk, they just sit down. I know someone that this church I used to go into, like, the person will come and just stay at the back and just be like this, though. And then once they say, in Jesus' name we pray, before you know, the guy is out. And I think to myself, like, why does it come? If it feels like I can't really express myself here, why is this still come? Why did it keep coming? You know, now that I think back at it, I look at that guy and I'm thinking, why did it keep coming? Because people can't come out of that lies. They can't come, it's not easy to break out, you know, lies and deception. Like what you were saying, you said something. You said that lies and deception is like that massive. It's like it's like the elephant that's sitting on top of the African church or sitting on top of the church that nobody ever wants to talk about. We know that there's some things that are not right, but we're like, oh, whatever the pastor says, we're just so easy to accept whatever is being said because we don't have. You know, you don't have that person, someone backing you. If you dare, they're gonna tell you you're backsliding. They will just like it's just so easy to use. When you have brainwash people, you can use it to manipulate them. It's just like whatever you're afraid of. So you have to understand that even death, people are afraid to die. They'll be telling you you die. You know, and that's all I say to people: don't be afraid of poverty because Jesus was poor. You know, don't be. Apostle Paul was poor. That's completely against everything that's this something gospel. What's it called again? The
prosperity gospel.
Sorry?
Prosperity gospel?
Prosperity gospel, exactly. That's completely against everything that prosperity gospel is. Jesus was not like prosperity gospel. He was all about like, look, I've come, I've lived a poor life, and I've won joy. Be careful about riches. Don't be consumed by it. Give examples, but people are constantly all they see. It's just that they just see what people just see is what they want to see. People don't even think anymore. Why I said to my friend yesterday that when people are going to church, you know what they do? They just take off their brain and they leave it at home. Because go to church, you're not allowed to use your brain in that arena. That is a no use your brain arena. If you dare to use your brain, you're a goner. That's why when somebody can come to the house and say, oh God is leading me to do something. I feel strongly in my spirit, I should do that. And the pastor will be like, no, don't do it until I give you permission. And you're like, okay. I'm sorry, but you're using your brain, you know something is wrong with that. But you're able to discern that, but, if I'm feeling dead, I'll do it.
But Elizabeth, since you got to know about brainwashing, the issues of brainwashing in the churches, only through the situation that happened to your friend.
Yes, of course.
So, which means that you probably had a good pastor or a good church, since you didn't come across that, or you were not under that influence, which means that your church was good or the pastor was good. He never applied that, that manipulation.
Yeah, so I think the thing is, this whole topic of manipulation works in various different ways. It's not just only in money alone or only in a pastor that is harsh. There are various ways that, some of the previous churches that I've been in life or, apply, like example, that church I was sharing an example of a church where I went to where the pastor was like, all the women in this place, if your husband was come home drunk at night, as a good woman, you kneel down beside him and you pray for 3 hours. You don't go around making noise, embarrassing your husband, all this shameless women. Like he was talking down on women and everybody's not even a single pin. And I just had this I had this fear that I wanted to stand up that day. I wanted to just stand up and be like, say something. My spirit was like, say something, Elizabeth. But I know I was going to cause it, right? And that was in Nigeria as well. So we're causing problem with the church. But in my spirit, I knew that this is manipulation. This is the definition. Every woman in that all of them, they looked so sad. They looked depressed. They looked unhappy, but nobody would say anything because how dare you stand up to your pastor? That man is anointed. They have this mentality that if you stand up to your pastor, there's a special punishment I'm going to give to you. It's like God God will just punish you. And the thing, people don't have the boldness to stand up for what's right. It's like what you're doing, Pastor Sunday. Like, you know the truth now. And that's the problem with power. Some of these people that you've been pointing out, Pastor Deboye, that you've been talking about, that are doing some of these manipulations and stuff, these people, some of them, they know the truth, Pastor Sunday, but that's the problem with power. You can either use it for good or use it for evil. It's the same with knowledge as well. You can either choose to use it or choose not to use it. Some people, they know the truth, but they would just rather just be conforming to, because that's the system of the place. If you don't want to be there, get out. Don't corrupt us. That's what they will say. You are outside. The world has influenced you now. You have come to corrupt us. They're not ready to learn. People genuinely don't want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth. And once you come, you're a backslider. They will come up with, you start talking and like, hey, Jesus, you have started again. Like, you just know that, oh God, this is not the place for me. So it's not just only in, I've had it in my experiences as well. I've had, I remember coming from Africa and I came to the UK, and the church I went to, I must have said to the pastor, because I used to lead, I was only like 12, but I led my entire school's choir. I was like the leader of the entire school choir. And I came to the UK and I always could sing, and I just thought, okay, let me say to my pastor that let me join the choir. And I remember he would always look at me and say, because I was wearing earrings and I was going to this church, they don't wear earrings, there was like this massive sin over my head. And I was in the church for like 6 years, 7 years, and I in that church for so long, and I watched a lot of people come and go, and I watched a lot of people in that church come, and they don't feel loved, there's no love, and even, with my family, but a lot of people would not leave. You're not loved, yeah? They don't want you. You don't fit in. They don't call you for any of their parties. They have this group, they have this like different segregation. They have their own different compartments, and you don't fit in anywhere. So why are you still going here? It's like you don't have a choice. You just stick there because you have this mentality, this fear. They restrain you that if you leave this church, something bad will happen to you. So people are, brainwashed with fear, and people just don't want to leave. And that's just one thing that just made me feel like it's not just in only when they ask you for your money, even with money. Like sometimes, even when I was a student, I remember I would still be paying tithes like an idiot. Like struggling with 2 jobs on the side, I'll still be paying my tithes. Because you'll be told that if you don't pay tithes, God will punish you, and you fall into the victim. And sometimes I think that if I calculate how much tithes I paid in my lifetime, maybe I can request it back. And I'm like, maybe I can request it with my bank statement, I want it all back. But then I'm like, if people actually come to the realization of the truth that you've been telling them, how many people will actually write to their pastor and be like, I want my money? I'm just imagining how my parents have been paying tithes and how much other parents that were in that church with us will be paying tithes for years and years. I'm thinking, we calculate that money and we want to request it back. The people who actually know the truth that, wow, so we've been brainwashed, so give my money back. So I'm not going to hell. Like, people will be like really serious about this. But because of that fear that, the pastor has said we are going to him. Some people are still praying for you, Pastor Sunday, as you're talking now. And me, probably, they're like, God will save their soul. They're telling the Lord, because people have fear, Pastor Sunday. And this is what I was saying about fear. Whatever, let me just say what I read about fear. Whatever you have, wherever there's fear, I don't even know where did I read that? Okay, what fear does to us is that fear creates some sort of hypocritical, I'm just trying to look for where I put that in my notes. So basically, fear makes you a hypocrite. I can't even find it, but I'll just say it from my brain if I can remember it. Okay, fear makes you an hypocrite. Fear makes you repulsive and unattractive. Fear makes it hard for you to be honest with yourself. And therefore, if you cannot be honest with yourself, you eventually cannot be honest with anybody else. And eventually what fear does is, fear breaks the trust. There's no trust. You become literally a puppet. And the fear destroys you. Fear destroys your heart. It destroys, just looking at other people. Everything is led with fear. Nothing should be started up with fear. Everything that started up with fear is already destroyed. Whatever you start with love is already amazing from the scratch. But when you start something with fear, it's easy to control the people that are in there. So easy.
So when somebody is susceptible to fear, then it's going to be easily manipulated and brainwashed.
Absolutely. Whatever you fear can easily be used to brainwash you. That's what I learned from your lesson. Whatever you fear can easily be used to brainwash you. Somebody can use to brainwash you. So that's what I learned from that topic. Let's move on to another topic. Okay.
Yeah, let me just remind people that we are talking about brainwashing. Brainwashing, and this you could get on my YouTube page. This YouTube page, Sunday Adelaja official YouTube page. And what we're talking about is how pastors brainwash Christians and how pastors brainwash you, how churches brainwash you, how they make you to do what they want, how they ruin your lives without even you knowing, how you become a slave to the system, to the church, to the pastor, without even knowing. So there are a lot of things that we're going to talk about here. You know, brainwashing happens sometimes in the family, in the school system, in the society, with the media. Brainwashing happens, but since we are Christian organization, we are Christians here, and you know, these are things that pastors and churches never really talk about. But this is what they practice. It's an abuse. This abuse is being practiced in churches all the time. So, you know, Elizabeth, how could you be so bold? Are you not sure they will? Are you not afraid they will chase you away from your church right now?
Personally, I'm not afraid they will chase me from anywhere. Like, you know, the thing is, okay, let me just start by saying I left my church like, you know, last week anyway. So
last week.
Yes, Pastor.
You got your independence.
I got my Independence Day. And the thing is, like, you think you wake up the next day feeling like, oh God, where did I go? And then when you look back in your life, thank God I left. Like, you know, and you just have this mentality that, you know, now you don't have to answer to anybody. Then you don't have to feel guilty that, oh, you're saying something. I'm not saying something about anybody. I'm grateful to God. Like, I had a wonderful pastor that, like, you know, some of the things that he did redeemed pastors probably found out, probably sacked him or something, because, you know, the way that he's got such a good heart compared to, you know, my living in the church wasn't because of the pastor, it was because of other personal reasons I had to then make the decision to go. The doctrines, everything, redeemed is going to be redeemed forever and ever. Simple. Whether the pastor is nice or not, but the thing is, in this life, you know, there are things that happens, and then you have to make your decision and stuff. And then you don't make it because of people, because if you keep thinking, what will my family say, what will my people say, you won't make any decision for yourself. Don't ever think, oh, I'm making decisions because of what people think. Make your decisions because you know you need to make those decisions, because or else you just keep lying to yourself and you're not ever really. Okay, Pastor. The next thing that was on that list for Sunday is that I want to talk about was the topic from the 19th, which our pastors brainwash through prophetic declarations and positive confessions. And so that one actually is fun, very, very funny, because, you know, pastors, they come and they pray, and they're like, oh, they pray for the elevation of sickness and poverty, which is viewed as curses, and they can be broken by faith. But the thing is, what I wrote down is that people actually believe that poverty and sickness is a result of sin. They believe that poverty and sickness is actually a spiritual problem. It's like, how can you be so manipulated that you think that poverty is a spiritual problem?
So that means if that is so, if that is true, since there is no poverty in Europe and America, it means they don't have spiritual problems.
They don't have spiritual problems. Pastor, did you not see the post of, there's a pastor I saw his post, he said that all the witches and wizards of the entire world has moved to Nigeria, so that they should come and do crusades, so that they should come and start praying, and they should come and start sowing their seeds, so that God can remove the curse from us, so that God can chase out all the witches and the wizards. Like, they literally tell you that this is actually that when you donate money and, you know, make positive confessions and stuff, that you can get rid of poverty. You know, that's why you see pastors that will come and say, before the end of this year will be your year. Before the end of this year, you receive your deliverance. Before the end of this year, you'll be rich and stuff. And people will be saying like the loudest amen just because we want the quick fix. And the one that reminds me of what you were saying, that you said that what that has actually done is that's like created a Babalawo system. People want like the easy fix. People want it to be like the quick, instead of doing the work. The church has become like a Babalawo shrine. It's just the truth. It's like we want quick fix. We're not using our brain anymore. That poverty cannot be gotten rid of, no matter how much you pray. It's not your prayer that will elevate poverty. And it's not how much you sow, you kneel down for, not how long to spend. In fact, kneeling down in the redemption camp is a waste of time. Let me just put it out there. It's a complete waste of time, because if you do all of that and you've got nothing to back that up, to back that system up, and, you know, for example, here in Europe, they don't even kneel down and pray at all. But yes, they're working hard and they're having a quality of life. Now people are, you know, are shouting. And the thing is, the funny ththing is, what me I just don't understand, that people actually be told that if God don't bless you on earth, He'll bless you in heaven. So we have a system, a business system that's like, you know, when you do like a business proposal, you have like, you show, what's it called? You show the future, like, okay, for example, you're selling You want a stakeholder to join you to your business and invest. You want to tell them that, okay, at the end of this number of years.
Yeah, there must be predictability. You must
exactly. You must be able to predict turnover. You want to say this is going to be your profit, and for the rest of this business, as long as this business exists, this is going to be your percentage income. You want to show them. But with African people, they will tell you everything to the point that they will tell you, come and give your money, come and give your this thing, come and give everything. Bring your child, let him serve, do everything. And then you know what? They will not even show you the end result of what you will get. There will be nothing. They will tell you that your reward is in heaven, and yet people will still come. And they will come and be professing and telling you that, oh, things will work out. But no, I think it was somebody was saying to me that there was a guy that was looking for the pastor that predicted at the end of 2017 that 2017 would be his year. He was waiting with cutlass outside the church. That I'm waiting for the pastor. I said, this year will be my year. And the year has not been his year. So the thing is, so now it's disappointed in the spirit. Like, why isn't it been my year? Because you haven't done the work, babe. If you're not praying without doing anything, then it's just useless. And we need to be telling each other the truth.
Make sure you don't touch your telephone when you are moving, because then the sound comes like a noise.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just say that when the lack of money becomes spiritual problem, you know, and there's just something I was covering one of the in the other day, that like when you do like when you do a research into like, you know, how much time we're wasting away in the church, you actually understand why we're so underproductive in the country, why our GDP is so low. Like, because we are too focused on, you know, getting immediate miracle, that we're actually not doing any of the work that's required to get this money and to elevate us out of poverty. So instead of telling people the truth that it is not by professing the miracles, but that by actually making the miracle happen, we're just not telling each other the truth. So you can't pray your troubles away. The Bible does not promise an easy life either. So everyone is expecting that life will be easy. No, the Bible does not promise that life will be easy. Life is it's supposed to be difficult, and that's why I always say to people that the most valuable thing that you have in your life is just it's the most beautiful, most difficult times of your life, because that's what builds the most beautiful person that you are today. So if you're not looking forward to troubles and you cave in the face of trouble, then there's something wrong with the value system.
Have you also personally, like you gave the example of the young man that was so brainwashed, but what about this particular aspect of people, churches and pastors using prophecy and all this spiritual stuff to brainwash? Have you encountered that anyhow?
Yes, Pastor, I encountered it. I said it the other day as well, one of my talks, that I remember going to, like, in 2015, I went to Dr. Pastor Adelaja's program. I didn't want to mention it, but I went to it's one of the programs in London, and I remember then all my friends were getting married, and everybody's getting married, and I was like, oh, God. Okay, so I went there, and I was praying, and I remember Adelaja said, and we can watch it as well, Festival of Life, everyone I want to go and do research, he must have said that, I think it was the April one, yeah, or the November one, I'm not sure. The chat said that, okay,
what year?
Everybody...
What year?
2015.
Okay.
And it must have said that everyone here was currently looking for a future husband, a future wife, like you look for your partner before the end of this year. And, you know, I tell you, you will receive your partner before the end of the year. And I remember I was like, amen, in Jesus' name. Because I actually believe that, you know, at the time, I actually believe that you're supposed to pray these things. You're supposed to pray what you want. You're supposed to tell God. Because my mindset had been function towards praying for what you want. You're supposed to tell God what you want God to do, and God will do what you want him to do. So I also said the loudest amen in the house, you know, and I remember 2015. So someone actually came in then at the time, and the person was like, yeah. You know, the towards the end, I think it was like December 29. And the person was like, okay, Elizabeth, I want to marry you, blah, blah, blah. And before I knew it, things just took over. Like, literally, before I knew it, pastors were involved, and, you know, my life was just like, you know, spinning. I didn't even say yes. I didn't even get an opportunity to say yes. I just said, let me pray about it. And before I knew it, pastors were involved. And I remember saying to myself that, but I prayed for this. And I kind of expected, you know, when you pray for something, you believe by faith. You expect it to happen, it happened. So when it happened, I thought that was it. But then when I realized I was praying for my will, and that was when I learned the meaning of praying for your will, praying for the will of God instead of your will. When God gives into your will, that's a massive problem. That's a massive problem because you're telling God that I know better than you. You don't have a plan for my life, so I want to teach you how to organize my life. And then what I realized from that, when things didn't work out, and eventually I had to make the decision to leave because it was very difficult. And I remember I wrote to you, Pastor Sunday, at the time that when I met you, and I wrote to you 2016, like Pastor Sunday, and I was going through a lot. And at the time I was still very spiritual as well. So I must have written my message like, Pastor, I have been praying. You must have been like, Elizabeth, don't rush into things. Why are you rushing? When this, you really helped me to open my mind that, wow. And you're like, if your spirit is not feeling, it's not anybody that's going to live in the marriage with you, it is you that will live in there. You have to make your decision. I remember everyone I spoke to at the time would be like, but we are praying, you have to pray about it. It was all about prayer. Nobody taught me to use my brain. You taught me to use my brain. You want to use your oblong, that's Elizabeth. It is not about the number of prayers that you pray. It's not until God comes and tells you no. It's okay if you don't feel happy in your spirit to walk away. And that was like one of the most beautiful decisions I ever made in my life till date. I'm never going to look back and say, oh, I looked at it and I'm just so grateful for the God. That's why I said to you that person, I feel like God removed you from wherever you were and brought you into my life on purpose at that time, because I had to meet you to help me, because where would I be today? Probably in some very violent relationship, my story would be different. And I know what I was going through in that relationship, and we were not even married. So not even talk of so I was really, really so depressed, and well, not depressed, moving towards depression at the time. And I just thank God that it was just the perfect time. And that little lift by Pastor Sunday's encouragement, and my dad at the time, I think my dad really played a massive role in the fact that when the church was getting involved and people were really pestering me and they were like, well, you have to face our churches, courts, something got really serious. And my dad was like, leave my daughter alone. I think that really, having my dad stand up for me and having you encourage me in my heart really made me feel like, thank God, somebody's on my side, because everyone just seemed to be against me at the time. Like, and you think to yourself that it is you who is being bad. The church, you feel so, and it's part of the whole brainwashing as well. You feel like, oh, am I going to regret this? People kept telling me that, oh, you're going to regret your decision. And I was just like, oh my God, am I making a mistake?
Now, let me tell you what. And that is how a lot of lives have been ruined.
I've been ruined. Absolutely, Pastor Sunday.
Yeah, because some people will say, since I have gone to the meeting with Gio, and Pastor Adeboye has already pronounced it that this year, before the end of the year, you will be married, that by all means I must get married, and they go ahead and marry the very first person who comes their way.
Absolutely, Pastor Sunday. People don't know the weight of that prophecy. People don't understand it until you have been inside it. Me, I'm saying it so lightly, but I know what that prophecy meant to my heart. I know what it meant to me. I don't even be like, but it's you now. But no, it's not just me. All the other single person in that place probably have the same mindset. And then the next guy that comes around, you're like, yes, he's the one. Even if the guy is beating you, like, he's the one. And you make that massive decision, then you end up regretting. So Pastor Sunday, that was it for me. It was like really it meant a lot. And people don't understand that these prophecies, they don't take away anything, and they can cause trouble. They can really, really cause trouble, because you're asking God to succumb to your will. You're asking God that, okay, God, is about what I want, not about what you want for me. It's about what I want you to do. Let me teach you how to do it, God. You're telling God you're wiser than him, you know better than him, and God is looking at you like, okay, continue, go on. And I remember I said, I must have prayed in my spirit, and I remember God said something to me. God will always indicate to you. God, if you're spiritual, if you have a relationship with him, God will help you to know if where you are is. He will not say yes, he will not say no, but he will give you a hint. And if you're wise, you'll pick it up in your spirit. And it's not until the Holy Spirit says, leave. Sometimes now people that hear the voice, they're like, use your brain and leave. Okay? If it doesn't seem right, it's not right. If something is not right in your spirit, then it's not right. Okay, Pastor.
So now, that's not the only problem. Now, when it comes to the economy...
Yes, Pastor.
When it comes to the economy, you know that when a big pastor, like Pastor Adeboye says, before the end of this year, you will get your breakthrough. Whatsoever you are praying for, you believe in God for, some people, they will become a millionaire before the end of this year.
Yes,
and
Pastor.
People believe it. So when they go to their office or to go and they see
money.
Yeah, they see government money, they see other people's money, they say, oh, this is the answer to the prayers that we had prayed. Now the man of God has spoken. Now it is my time. So that is how greed comes in. So those kind of prophecies, they promote greed. They promote brainwashing of the people, and the people lose their values.
You're promising an easy life to people, Pastor. You're telling people life is going to be easy. Life, nothing good comes easy. Nothing good comes having it by it. When you get things with ease, you know that something is not right. Whatever you're getting with ease, especially when it's money and you're like easy money, like all those little things. I don't even know where they got it from, because when you look at the life of Jesus, Pastor, I don't see it there. I don't see Jesus teaching about getting easy things. I don't see ease. I don't see it at all. And I don't know where it all came from, because when people hear it in the economy, when you hear things like, oh, this year is going to be your year, you go and you find money on the floor, you take it and put it in your pocket. You don't, in this country, you drop money. It's not like it's everyone. But I remember times I've gone to the ATM to withdraw money. I remember there was a particular time I was in uni at the time. I went to the ASDA. I got money. I was going into the ASDA. I was already almost at the door. And I remember there was a lady running after me with my money, like, oh, you left this £20. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I was so grateful. And I took it. She gave it to me. And she was like, you need to be careful next time. And she just walked off. She didn't expect that I would give her something in return. Now, people expect that when they do something, they expect you to even give them something in return. Like, thank you, there's £5. Like, because we're expecting easy things. That's why sometimes even when people return it, they're expecting that they will get something back in compensation to say, thank you for that. What if you don't have it? I remember there was a time I lost my phone. And I I texted, I must have been like, if someone finds it, I'm going to give them compensation, please find it. And I remember the person actually took it to the bank. And I remember the bank gave me a call that, because my bank card was inside. And the bank called me that, like, you have your, they called my mom's number. My mom, found a way to contact me that they found your phone is in the bank. So I went to the bank to get it. And then got to the bank, and the lady was like, oh, so you found it. I did say I was going to give some compensation. They're like, no, I don't want anything. There you go, there's your phone. There's your phone, take your phone. What's wrong with you? And I was like looking at it like, wow, nobody would take anything from me to say thank you. Because you shouldn't be expecting anything. Whatever you do should be from your heart. It's grace. It's like you've been given the grace to do it. You don't think, oh, I have to get something back. And it's that mentality that you have to keep thinking, I have to do something to get something. That's why we don't actually have a value system. That's why, for example, I was sharing the story of a lady who was servicing, a customer service provider, who was like, seriously, she was servicing people and treating, like, she wasn't looking at the people she was servicing, because probably no one's ever acknowledged her for doing a good job anyway. So what does it matter if she does a bad job? Like, you always think that whatever I do is to get something. And you have that mentality. That's what people have the mentality, Pastor, that if I give to God, if I give God like £50, God will double fourfold, right? So that's 200. Okay, so they also have the same mentality that if they do something bad, God will do triple punishment for that. That's why people are afraid of pastors. They're afraid because when people are brainwashed with fear, it's just what's going to happen. You're going to be thinking that if you're going to get punished, that means like it's like God now compensates you for your goodness. Whatever God does for you is to compensate you for what you did. Like, it's not because you were hardworking and God did not like a thoughtful person, and so that this person's hardworking, I'm going to bless, not because of, I choose to bless, not because people think it's whatever they do now, they get something. And that also brings us to the message of Thanksgiving. Our church brainwashes you through Thanksgiving. Like, people, you see, like, there's Thanksgiving for everything. You give birth Thanksgiving, get a new job Thanksgiving. That's where you get, like, people like that in debt, like £4,000, still giving their first fruits. Because they feel like, I don't even understand, what do they think will happen after first fruits? That the job, the boss will just increase their salary. Like, without you doing any work. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work like that. Whatever you want in this life, it's you need to go after it. You need to work for it.
It works like that in the countries where these people live. In Africa, it works like that because nothing comes by merit. Everything comes by connection. Everything comes by long leg. Everything comes by who you know. And everything comes by corruption, robbery. So it's not merit. So you just, somebody just called me. I didn't even study banking, but they just gave me a job in the bank. Somebody just called me. I had an uncle there. Because those kind of stories are so prevalent. And it is because of that everybody is believing that this is the norm. Rather than believing that the norm is when you go by the merit. Is when you follow the standard, when you follow the rules. that rules are not meant to be bent. But they are living in a society where the rules are being bent all the time. So they believe that when the pastor or somebody who has some spiritual power will, bring these pronouncements and these, prophecies to them, that their prophecy and their power will bend the rules. So all those miracles, it's about bending the rules for the benefit,
Yes, Pastor. And it's so funny when you see like countries like UK as well, because you're like, oh, they relaxed Africa now, okay, but no. When you see like when you're here, it's here. And back home, it's easy for people to just come because it's like that crossroad. So everything is not working. So instead of fixing what's wrong, we'd rather pray about it and we'd rather wait. And when things, when we get easy things, we think that's the way forward. Everything is corrupt. There's a lot of corruption that's led to our problems anyway. But the thing is, it's really sad when you see it here as well. When you see people acting like that, and you're like, did you leave Africa? And you're like wondering what's going on in their minds. Why are they still like this? That's because people have been promised this. They've been told that, whatever you do, you're supposed to get something for it. The value system is broken from back home. And you need to literally remove and reconstruct the value system. Whatever is broken from the foundation, you need to reconstruct it. So that's why, sometimes I'm thinking about these messages, being taught in like Nigeria and stuff, and I'm like it's like someone is like a hammer to break everything down and then start teaching people from scratch because people are not ready to learn the truth. It's the truth. People know that people actually believe that the corrupt ways is the way forward, and I just think that what future is there for the generations to come. We still have this mentality.
This particular point that we're making.
Yes.
How pastors and churches brainwash you through Thanksgiving. I never knew it was there. It was just when I was doing the broadcasting itself and when I was doing the series that somebody told me that right now in these African churches they do Thanksgiving for almost everything. And that means you have to bring money to the church. You've got to bring money to the.
Well, a special envelope.
Have we ever seen that being practiced?
Yes, Pastor. In Nigeria, I remember the church I went to in June was in Nigeria. Literally, you have they give you 3 envelopes. They don't have one as a purse. You have to zip it. I think that's the one that you have to keep your tight so that you're not ahead. I'm not sure, but you get one, and you get one for your offering. It comes like in a red envelope, and then you get one for your blue, or I think that was then your Thanksgiving. So you get 3 different envelopes, and then you have to dance forward every time. It's like what we were saying yesterday. And when people are dancing past you, be like, I want to give Thanksgiving. Like this person gave birth. Like we are having Thanksgiving for this. Then they will say that everyone should dance forward and give something as well for those people, but it's not going to them, it's going to the church. So it's not for the person, it's not as Thanksgiving and like everyone that will dance forward and drop something, and the money goes to the family, the money goes to the church's pocket. So I don't understand how this person is doing Thanksgiving, but the money is going to the church's pocket. I don't get it. I don't understand that one. But yeah, so you dance to the front, you drop the post, and then they do another round of, then you dance again, then you drop the offering, then they do another round, then you dance again, you drop the Thanksgiving, and every first Sunday of the month has become every Thanksgiving Sunday. So that means that you must put aside a separate one, aside from your tithe, aside from your offering that you will give to God. Then if you want to make some sort of, then there'll be another envelope you want to do like between God, you and God, like a covenant. So like you have to put, I don't understand that one, because is it like the church is started in a way that the gates to get into God's heart, and then when you give an envelope between, you're making a covenant, right, and you're putting the money to church, then you come and does God have to check if the money is there before he gives you the covenant? So whatever you decide in your heart, at the end of the day, it's up to you. Like I said yesterday in my service, in my talk, I said that tithing is just like every other thing that you've seen in the Bible. For example, like when they used to kill lambs, lamb offering, it's just the same. It's your choice. If you want to follow that religious practice, it's not even a choice. It's not an option for you as a believer. All you have to do is believe. But if you want to, do some religious practice, then you can go ahead. There's a lot. You read the Old Testament. There's like a particular place that tells you how you're supposed to kill the animal, at what time of the day. Like don't abolish like ritual. This is up to you. Which is for me, it's just like what it is. Tithing is just like that. It's not a mandatory thing, and people just don't understand now. They don't want to hear it, and they just follow after. They don't even, pastor. What I realize about people is that people go into the scriptures to what's this word, to sort of prove what they've heard. They don't go into the scripture to learn from God, to think, okay, what's God saying to me afresh? What can I get from here? What's the word for today? No, people are going there to say, I have heard this. Now let me find evidence in the Bible. That's the people that manages to read, not people that don't read. Because there's some people that just come to church every Sunday, sing. Then they spend the whole Monday to Friday hustling. Then they hustle. Then they come to church, they'll sleep, they wake up, they pastor will preach, they stand up, they give offering, they go. And it has become that you die, 80-year-old, you die in the church, and you now give testimony, I am 80 today, I thank the Almighty God, and you go home, and that's it. That's the end of your life. You've never really done anything, wasted away. And that's just the problem. People don't understand that being in church and doing all of this religious practices without understanding why, actually understanding the reason why you're doing things, you're wasting away. People don't even want to open the Bible, to talk about, for example, if we're talking about, talking about the role of women, in the scriptures and stuff, that's what people want to hear. Some people, that's all they want to hear. There's still some churches that will not allow women to do stuff in their church. People talking about divorce, that's what I know some churches that if your daughter gets pregnant and you're a minister, you have to lose your role as a minister. Like, if your daughter gets married after wedlock and stuff and you're a minister, you have to leave that role. Or if you ever step outside whatever the GO says, you have lost your job. I'm sorry, sir. But that's just it. If you ever get a divorce from your wife as a minister, you've lost your role. And it's so hypocritical because all of them are doing whatever they like. There's Oyakhilome doing his own. There's some churches doing their own. Like, everyone's just doing that. And there's these puppets, like, just running after whatever they say. Like, you can't ask questions. You can't question it. You can't think for yourself. You're not allowed to think for yourself. They will even tell you don't read books. Because I remember going to a single conference and it must have been like, don't read books. Be careful what you read. These things are careful. You're looking for, just read your Bible. Like, all the answers you're looking for is in the Bible, which for me it is not true, because the Bible does not have all of the answers. Some things you need to step outside of it and use your brain. And people think it's wrong to use your brain, but then I said, if God does not want to serve your brain, he would have taken it away. We won't have one.
Yeah, so that's about Thanksgiving. Which one do you have next?
Okay, Pastor. So the next one is our pastors brainwash you through leniency and opportunity. For example, like Pastor, what we were saying before, like in the church, like what people just feel is the fact that the value system is so messed up. You'll find out, some people, somebody will commit a crime, and the pastor, and they will come with offering and tithes, and the pastor will be praying for them that God forgive them, that they will not catch them. All these things, and you're like, okay, God will pardon you because you're a tither, a giver. And you're a cheerful giver, right? So God loves you differently. God is going to look at you differently. He's not going to punish you like your other mates are in prison. You don't have to, even if that money you stole it, right? It's okay. Just come, bring to God. And it's like the facade that people, you see criminals, they'll be like, I will pay your 10%. Like, you see it in all these movies and you're just laughing, like, this thing doesn't happen. Probably. Well, I've seen like people that I consider criminal in terms of like in the system, in Nigerian system, that are in churches, and I'm wondering what they're doing there when the GOs know that this person is not living right, but they're there, right? And then they do anything and the GO is there to pray for them. And I'm thinking, what is it praying about exactly? That God will forgive their sins. That God will look at them differently. Because you see people that that their lives are not right, and like the way they're living, you see the GO there praying, and you're like, what's it praying about? How much did they pray for Baba to fly here?
just like the politicians who are
exactly, that's what I'm saying, exactly, the politicians. They're doing an event, and then that something is not right in the way the system is being. Nobody has to tell you the system is wrong, and that that these people are corrupt people. They're throwing a party. I was just saying to a friend the other day that, do you know how much it costs, at least an average Nigerian person to throw a party now? You need 6 million naira alone just to throw a wedding. That's it. Just that's an average person, not somebody that is rich. And all these rich people throwing parties, they're spending at least 25 million naira on the kids. Let's just be honest. That's it, 25 million naira, maybe minimum, on their children's party. And you're going to this 25 million naira party to go and pray when there are suffering children dying in Africa, when there are homeless people dying, they're wasting money for one day party. What are we feeding the homeless? Are we feeding the poor? So what's the meaning of all these unnecessary expenses? And you're going there to pray for what reason? So I think it's also just so I feel like it's just whatever the geo says. We don't even have, when we know something's wrong, people don't want to challenge it. Let me just move on to the next thing, Pastor. The next thing is our pastors brainwash you through failures and true acceptance and recognition. They have these ones where they're like, oh, okay, I think it was like, there was the program in London. They were like, if God is placing upon your heart to donate £1,000, come out, and then you go and you donate, and then you see people that don't have money, and then they'll be like, make a covenant and you donate £1,000 this year, before the end of the year, and you see people running hard to go and donate £1,000 and they don't have. And then they donate all of this money and then they do like a special prayer for them. So you'll be feeling like, oh, okay, my colleagues are doing this, why can't I do it? Why am I not one of the 1,000 people? So people will stand up beside you. You two will be forced to stand up. Even though you know you can't afford the £1,000, people will go out and donate what they don't have. And all for what reason? What are they promising you? What business plan have they shown to you? What's going to be your after reward as a stakeholder? What do you get? Your reward in heaven. Continue. Okay, the next one is our pastors brainwash you through failures and tragedy. So like this whole idea, I think it was Pastor Oyedepo that we saw that was slapping a wizard. They're like, witches and wizards exist. And I think I saw a video where a woman was being beaten because they said that a pastor said that she was a witch. And I was like, people still believe in witches and wizards in this day and age. And that is our problem, because people start still praying. I don't even want to go that backwards, Pastor, because you don't even want to believe that these things exist. You don't want to believe that people are still praying about witches and wizards. I think I saw like an 80-year-old man that was being beaten by the Nigerian youths. And they literally was just beating this guy. They were lashing him and, like they were, and I was thinking that these are youths that lots of God on like afternoon, when you should be somewhere in the afternoon, when you should be somewhere working, doing your chasing up an old man and beating him because you accuse them of wizard. That's why you are not prosperous, because you have this mentality that your poverty is because of spirituality. When you have this mentality that you're poor because it is a spiritual problem, you think something is wrong with you. You think that there's somebody doing you. But I challenge you that somebody is doing to go and work hard and see if God will not bless you. And challenge you to go and actually think that your life can become something and God will not bless you. If you still think that what is going on with you is a result of sin, continue in your sin, but go and be very hardworking and see if God will not bless you. The thing is, people just think that God is just going to come and make an easy fix, like God is like what was saying before, God is like going to compensate. People are just lazy. People are just lazy and want a quick and easy fix for everything that they do in this life. They want to just have the easy way out. They don't want to think that they have to invest themselves and they have to pour themselves to get anything, which is just the saddest reality, because that's what a lot of youth have been brainwashed to believe. That is the value that we have instilled. Our value system is so messed up. The youth don't have any value systems or what their parents have. And that brings me to that quote about if a proud generation did not learn to cope with failure and tragedy and disappointment, how can they teach the next generation? We don't even know. Our youth are so messed up in the head. You hear them talking and you're like, what are you saying? Like, you hear them conversations are so, it's so fake, and you're like, this is our youth. This is what we have. And for me, it's just really disappointing for me, because I'm always on Instagram fighting a lot for people. I'm always assaulting people day and night. People like, I don't even know me there already. Every comment I must write something like, that our youth, this is not what we expect from the leaders. This is not what, what's going to be there for the active generations to come to. Our pastors brainwash you through believers class. I think during that session we were talking about how that's the point where they actually literally strip you of your brain. Now the point where they like strip you of your will. People no longer have a will, and that's why I always say to people that God doesn't take away our free will. Why would you take away somebody else's own? God never takes away and never forces anything against on us. So why are people so bent on like saying it is what I say? I'm the pastor here. And I'm thinking, as a pastor, if that's your leadership skill, if that's your leadership style for the youths, and so all these boys, they watch, they pick up, they're like, that's what my pastor's like. That's his leadership style. Especially all those boys that don't actually have their dads present. They actually learn from their pastors that this is what leadership is like. Now, how are they going to go into to their lives and actually exercise leadership if this is what you're showing to them, that is about what I say? It's not about what you say. Everyone has a free will. You can give a suggestion and just allow people to choose to go, but make sure that you have given the guidance. It's just like what the Bible is there for. It's like there, it's there for guidance, but it's not imposed on us. It is giving us direction, it's giving us wisdom, it's giving us understanding of the history that's happened. They're just ancient texts. It gives you an understanding of what has happened, and then you choose for yourself. When you read about Jesus, I'm like, wow, Jesus was like this, and if you don't understand anything, I remember Jesus would be like, ask, and he will answer questions, and the people will probe him. Like this day and age, some people cannot even ask their pastors questions. The pastor will be like, the pastor will be like, asking me questions? Are you questioning God? Can a man question God? And you're like, even Jesus, the only time Jesus was questioned that he didn't answer that I remember was when he was at the point of death, because he had already said everything. So all the irrelevant questions they asked him was no longer relevant, so he didn't have to answer anymore. It's like, I've already answered all my questions. So don't be afraid. People are afraid to ask their pastors questions. I remember was saying that there was a church I went to Nigeria, and there was a pastor that stood up and took like 10 naira out of the church offering basket and said, who gave this? And people were just watching him like nobody could say anything. At that point, he would stand up and he'd be like, excuse me, sir, you don't do that. And people are like, and he was like, this is what you have to, and it's you people like this that will be complaining when we tell you to give 3,000 naira to donate to support our missionaries. You cannot support them. And he was just talking. And at the end, I must have asked like one of the sisters in the church, like, one of my friends. I was like, oh, did you not notice anything was wrong with that service? And then she was like, well, people have sort of complained, they've been complaining, but there's nothing we can do. I'm like, and you guys are all coming to church and this plenty? And then before they start church, every Sunday they read out how much they made last week. They read out the money that the church made and how much they can do better. For me, it's like, okay, I'm like, this is what you guys are doing in your church. You're reading out how much. Is this a business? This has become a business. They're profitable. I mean, if a pastor can be bringing in $200 million a year, that's a business. I'm getting involved with that business. Quick money, easy money, ease. Anything with ease, there's a problem with the foundation. Anything that's coming with ease, there's a problem with the foundation. Anything that you cannot challenge, there's a problem with the foundation. It has become a groupthink mentality, a conformity mentality.
Let me tell people what we're reviewing. We're actually here doing a review of the trainings and the teachings that I gave on how churches and pastors brainwash you, how people have been brainwashed through churches and pastors, and how your church is brainwashing you, how your pastors are brainwashing you. And so it's on my YouTube page where we are right now. YouTube page, it's called Sunday Adelaja Official. So if you go to Sunday Adelaja Official on YouTube page, you'll be able to see that brainwashing series 22. And so that's what we're examining. And so a lot of people like Elizabeth that is talking right now, she never even knew this thing was there until we started raising up the topic. A lot of people are right inside these prosperity gospel churches, and and they don't even know that's what they are inside a mess, and they are brainwashing them. They don't even realize it. You know what? I'm going to allow you to say a few words in conclusion, because we are starting in a different way, so we have to end earlier so that we could set up things. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what. Let me just finish by saying that what the saddest thing about all of this deception and all of this brainwashing is that people are actually wasting away in the church, that they don't have enough time to fulfill their own vision in this world. They are too busy helping the pastor fulfill the selfish visions that they are missing out on their own ability to fulfill their own values and vision for this life. They don't have a vision. They don't have time for their own family, for their children, for their wives. The children is lacking the presence of their father, the presence of their mother. The world is raising your child, but you're too busy investing in the church. And for me, it's so fake. And people would be like, oh, my husband has stopped me from going to church. My wife, she doesn't support me praying 2 hours every Sunday evening. She does not pray with me, so she's the devil that the God has used to distract me. Like, this church problem has broken on homes. It has broken so much problems. I remember, like, I was listening to an interview, like, someone was asking Pastor Kumugi that, some of these women, we don't get to spend time with our husbands before we marry them. We marry them, and then we find out there's a lot of things we don't know about their family, about, that we shouldn't have, and they're already in the marriage. How many lives have been ruined already like that? You're already in a marriage. Now you're asking. You're not telling that, and can we please allow our youth to go and be seen? Even if it's, we know we don't want them to sing, but let them spend time together. Let them see each other, and they have to ask. You have to ask. You have to ask for permission for that. If you have to ask for permission, I'm sorry, but there's something wrong with that. The second thing is that I just want to leave us with is also that there are people, you'd say this in the Lord, that they're waiting. There are some people I know that they're in church. They'll be like, oh, for example, now let me just read it again. For you to be like a pastor, you say you have to have served. I think you have to have served for a number of years, at least 10 to 20 years or something. You have to have been a deacon for a number of years. Just imagine you're a youth and you have to do all that service. You have to be a particular age because you are wasting away all this time. You're already cold. Some people are waiting for like a particular calling. I think with my friend I was saying that they are fighting for one mic. Everybody's there fighting for one mic.
We just lost that, but that's it. We're almost through anyway. So I would just like to say, see you people in the next 30 minutes. In the next 30 minutes, I will be back on the program, and it will be continuing the series, which is Pastor Adeboye and the God of Mammon. So that series is coming up in the next 30 minutes, Pastor Adeboye and the God of Mammon. And please go invite your friends, go invite all the people that you care about, and we'll continue with you in the next 30 minutes. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Blessings, peace.